and I go by it a great deal. It wasn't too long ago, just several months ago, that when gold was $950 to $1,000, 96% of newsletter writers said that gold was going to go down and test lower levels, 900, 800, 700, 500, whatever. When I saw that, I said, I got a license to steal. Because they're never right, just like you say. The majority is, occasionally they're right, but not very often. And I knew gold was going to run to 1,200, and it did, and they banged that back down again. And I knew it would be very short-lived because they don't have any power anymore. They don't have any physical gold to sell into the market. The United States is irretrievably broke. We're going to have to reconstruct the whole country. We're going to have to put on tariffs. And there's all sorts of things that are going to have to be done. We can make it. We'll do all right. Everybody will have to work harder, and they won't be able to go out and, be at the restaurant 3 nights a week or whatever. But that's in lieu of the fact that we won't have a revolution, and that we won't have martial law and a fascist government like Hitler had. And those are two possibilities as well. And so we're not going to know until we get there, and we try to anticipate what we think might happen and do the best we can.
Well, there's a couple of very interesting articles pointing out that Americans are worse off, the first decade of this century than ever before. That the first decade of the 21st century, why the living standards went down, the real salaries went down. And this was the first time I suppose going back to the Great Depression, where the Americans at the end of the decade have had less than they had at the beginning of the decade as far as real money is concerned, because with inflation, why they can always confuse the issues. But I was very surprised to see these articles saying, which I believe is true, that the living standards of the American is falling, because Mark contends that has always been the plan. But to see it in a number of mainline articles, why certainly it tends to justify what we've been warning about for a long time. Did you see those articles? I'm sure you did.
Right, and I got to tell you this. Even with their problems, people, let me put it this way, the middle class in Europe and in Latin America live better than the U.S. does. And they certainly don't have the debt. Because when they buy houses, they either put 50% down or they pay cash. So they don't, have that burden. And so America's got to learn some very conservative lessons here. And that is, credit is not good. Good if you use it judiciously. But they haven't done that in America.
No, they sure haven't. Well, let's call Frank, who's calling in from Salinas. Hi, Frank. How you doing?
Good.
Do you have a quick question for us?
Happy New Year to both of you. If we go into either one, runaway inflation or depression, and the government does take over, IRAs and things like that, what's going to happen to stocks that you have in a brokerage account? They have that insurance, but I would suspect the insurance probably isn't worth much.
All right. What's going to happen to certainly a stock in a brokerage account? Because I would never have my stock in a brokerage account. What are your thoughts, Bob?
Well, I don't. In all the 15 years we've been on together,
Hold that thought. We'll be right back. Hold that. Well, this is Dr. Stan. I guess it's been Bob Chapman. I'm going to have to let you go, Frank. We got two more callers. I want to get to them before we go. Richard from Oregon, quick question. We're just about out of time.
Right. I just want to know if it's possible for the states to issue their own currency.
Bob, is it possible for the states to issue their own currency?
Absolutely. And I think that's a great idea.
And
then
Richard,
they can set up their own banking and bypass the bad guys.
Richard, that's what we're going to have to do. And Ellen Brown's written an excellent book on that. Great idea, and I'm glad you brought it up. We've got to run. Let's go to Wayne calling from Missouri. Wayne, a quick question. We're out of time.
Yes. Bob, what do you think is going to happen about teacher funds? Do you think the government's going to try to transfer those over to annuities or whatever?
Absolutely. They're going to try to steal everybody's money. This is what this is. It's grand theft.
And so that's why you really want to be out of money, because if the money is there, they're going to steal it. Hey, thanks for calling, Wayne. And this is the time when you just got to say goodbye, Bob. We're out of time.
I'll see you later tonight.
Oh, Bob will be with us.
Thanks, everybody, for listening.
Thank you so much. Anyway, this is Bob Chapman. Hope you enjoy, Bob, as we always enjoy, keeping you abreast of what's going on. This is the time I have to remind you that our ministry, Radio Liberty, is primarily listener-supported. And if you're in a position to help, give us a call at 1-800-544-8927.